Tonight we're going to continue our discussion from class on the Byzantine Empire, and not just their political accomplishments, but also economic and some social developments. So what they're known for, big picture ideas. Just to reiterate what we said in class, we're shifting gears. So we are departing from Islam for a brief time until we get to the Crusades, and talking about the Islam's neighbor, or the Islamic Empire's neighbor, the Byzantine Empire. So we're digressing. We're going back in time a little bit, and we're going to catch up back to Islamic empires with the Byzantine Empire. So these are just to the north. They're training partners with the Byzantine Empire, but there's also some conflict and war, and we'll get into that with the Crusades. This video, which we watched in class, is the first half of John Green's crash course on the Byzantine Empire. The key dates you received in class, but just in case we went too fast, they're here. So in 286, Diocletian, in an effort to strengthen the Roman Empire, splits it in half. He asked Constantine to go rule the eastern half. Once Diocletian is gone and Constantine is in power, he, in 330, not only mandates the following of Christianity, but he reunites the Roman Empire under his sole control. And then in 395, the empire splits again, and this time the eastern half starts to become known as the Byzantine Empire from this time on. And the Byzantine Empire lasts for the next 1,000 or so years until Constantinople is conquered by the Muslim Turks, and it becomes the Ottoman Empire. So it's eventually conquered by the Ottoman Turks. Point of reference is that Unit 2, or Period 3, ends in 1450. So one of the key reasons for the end of Period 3 is because of the fall of Constantinople and the end of the Byzantine Empire. Here's our map again, just as a review. We talked about the military advantages, how it's easy to defend Constantinople, and also the trade advantages of the location of the Byzantine Empire, how it's a land bridge from Asia to Europe, and it's also a sea bridge from the Mediterranean Sea to the Black Sea, so it's a great trading location. We have our major players, our key emperors. You have Constantine, because he establishes the Byzantine Empire, or puts the city on the map. We have Justinian, who's known for his major building projects, the aqueducts, the reservoirs, Hagia Sophia, and the Hippodrome. And we have Basil, who is known as a brilliant military mind and responsible for the defending and the enlargement of the Byzantine Empire. So our three key leaders. The R means reign, so that is when he ruled, not just his lifespan. So the Byzantine government was more centralized than the former Western Roman Empire because it was more united. The Byzantine emperor had more central power than the Roman Empire did. Justinian established a law code based off of Roman laws. So it was based on hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of Roman laws, but you should remember the 12 tables as the original Roman law. Justinian also granted women the right to buy land, to own property, and this ensured that widows would have the ability to care for their families after the death of their husbands. For an empire that was always at war, frequently with Persia, sometimes other Islamic civilizations, it was important that men were not afraid of taking care of their family after they died. It was that they knew their families would be taken care of. And so Justinian's wife, Theodora, may have played a role in this. She was a very strong female role in his life and in the empire. He had both secular, so non-religious, and religious authority. Essentially, he controlled all matters of the government. And he had an extensive, intricate, and educated bureaucracy. So this should kind of remind you of China. But basically, the idea with a bureaucracy is when you have a more diverse group of people or a larger territory, you want to have bureaucrats who are loyal to you and who you trust to go around and help you administer the government, to keep your centralized authority. The Byzantine economy The Byzantine emperor also exercised absolute authority over the economy. So he didn't just control the military and the laws and the church. He controlled the economy as well, which you can see with the coins on the left. Those are Byzantine emperors' faces on those coins. And just to point out that the cross is an orthodox cross. It is more symmetrical than oblong. The Byzantine emperor created monopolies in the production of items like silk, now that they had the technology to make silk. And if I were to ask you what is a monopoly, you should be able to tell me. If I were to ask you what is a monopoly, you should be able to tell me that a monopoly is when a government or just any business takes total control over a good or the production of a good. So in this case, the government would be the only people producing this good. So if you wanted to get it, you had to get it from the government. So it'd be like if Nike bought all running shoes or tennis shoes, and if you wanted gym shoes, you had to have Nike shoes. That meant that they could get a lot of wealth through their monopolies. So Byzantium's economy was very prosperous, meaning it did very well. The economy was mostly agriculture, but they also traded largely with Russia, North Africa, Europe, and Asia because they were in such a key spot for trade and didn't have the most land. So a lot of the land was urban. So they did farm, but they needed to trade for a lot of their goods. The society had a hierarchy. It was also patriarchal. But as we mentioned earlier, with Empress Theodora, Justinian's wife, women had sometimes more power and more rights than in, say, the Roman Empire. Byzantine religion we will come back to, but they practiced Orthodox Christianity. One thing I want you to note in this picture is how the lines and the coloring kind of looks like the Theodosian walls, and the domes and the arches are somewhat reminiscent of the Hagia Sophia. They don't look so much like a traditional cathedral that you might see in France or Italy. The Byzantine religion is originally tolerated by and tolerant of the Roman Catholicism. So originally they decided to live and let live, but eventually there's a split and conflict. Byzantine becomes Orthodox Christianity. Rome becomes Roman Catholic, and we'll talk more on this soon, tomorrow. So these are videos we watched in class of the building accomplishments of Justinian's time and those after him. But the Byzantine Empire, you should definitely think great architects. Here's the inside of the Hagia Sophia. Again, I asked you to note what those pennants seem to have on them. Can you make predictions? What happens when the Muslim Turks conquer in 1453? Here's the Hagia Sophia from above. Again, those tall, pointy minarets were not around in the time of Justinian. They were added later by the Ottoman Turks. So think about what maybe the Hagia Sophia was converted into. So the fall of the Byzantine Empire. Very much like Rome and China and Gupta, it starts with internal weakness, or internal weakness is a factor. There are struggles over succession of who will be the next leader. There are secret plots and power struggles at court, so among those bureaucrats, there's some infighting. And there are constant wars to defend the empire. Because the Byzantines are in such a key location for trade, they're always being attacked. They have external problems as well. The neighboring Seljuk Turks invade. And then the Byzantine Emperor calls the Western Europe, the Pope, for help. And this is what the Crusades are, which we will talk about. But there are multiple Crusades. And so, again, the Byzantine Empire is always fighting. They're always at war. And eventually, they are conquered by the Ottoman Turks in 1453. And they are a Muslim group, the Turks. Here's an image of the Ottoman Turks sacking Constantinople. You should be able to recognize the Theodosian walls that we saw during the Donau. They were being destroyed by the Ottomans. They created catapults by now and some gunpowder.